where we dig deep into the reality TV wreckage to find the truth behind the news. If you are here for the end of the patriarchy and the rise of the queens, make sure you hit that like button right now. It helps the channel grow and lets the algorithm know that we are tired of Kody's pranks. Subscribe and turn on those notifications, because trust me, you are not going to want to miss a single update on this growing story. Now, let's get into the tea. Let us take you inside that wedding reception, because according to people on the ground, the atmosphere was electric. This was not just a wedding, it was a liberation celebration. For years, we have watched Janelle struggle with her loyalty to a man who expected total submission. But this event was the total opposite of everything Kody Brown represents. There were no separate tables for different wives, there were no awkward silences, there was just unity. But the real shock dropped when that trailer played. According to insiders present at the venue, the trailer started with a shot of Janelle and Christine clinking glasses on a boat in open water, laughing with a freedom we have never seen before. The voiceover reportedly said, "The sisterhood survived even when the marriage died." Then, the title card flashed across the screen. Life after polygamy coming this fall. The room exploded. We are talking about a standing applause that lasted for minutes. But what was most telling was who was missing from that screen. There was no Kody. There was no Robyn. There was no word of the McMansion or the nanny or the rules. This was the network sending a clear message that the Kody Brown era is finally over. We have received reports from production insiders suggesting that this wedding worked as a backdoor pilot for the new series. For those of you who don't know industry terms, a backdoor pilot is when a network uses an episode of a current show to test the waters for a spin-off. And if the reaction in that room was any sign, the test was a massive success. The word on the street is that execs at TLC have been crunching the numbers for months. They have seen the comment areas. They have seen the tweets. They know that the audience is drained by the toxicity of Kody and Robyn. Viewers are tired of watching a man berate his wives while living in luxury, while the women who helped build his wealth are treated like second-class citizens. The network understood that the money is not in misery anymore. The money is in the redemption. Let's talk about the group list, because this is where things get really spicy. Our sources suggest that Kody and Robyn are not just excluded from the main cast. They are not on the payroll at all. Let that sink in. For nearly 2 decades, Kody has relied on this show as his main source of income. He has used the show to pay his lifestyle, to buy property, and to feed his ego. Being cut from the spin-off is not just a blow to his pride. It is a catastrophic blow to his cash. We are hearing whispers that Kody was actually pitched a reduced part. Think of it as a guest appearance contract where he would only be paid for the days he shot. Allegedly, Kody was insulted by this offer, demanding his usual high rate and artistic control. The network, realizing they held all the cards, allegedly pulled the offer entirely. They decided they didn't need an enemy anymore. They needed heroes. The response from the fans has been instantaneous and overwhelming. As soon as news leaked from the wedding guest to social media, the internet went wild. Twitter threads are already popping up celebrating Kody's unemployment. People are calling it the best move the network has ever made. One fan noted that they would pay double just to watch Janelle and Christine live their best lives without a man with a perm screaming in the background. Another comment that went viral simply said, "Kody wanted to be the center of attention, and now he is the center of the unemployment line." This is the power of the audience. You spoke up, and the network listened. They realized that we don't watch for the patriarchy. We watch for the women who survived it. But we have to look at what this means for the timeline. If the cameras were rolling at the wedding, and this was indeed the launch of the new show, it means filming has been happening under our noses for months, without Kody knowing the full extent of the project. Imagine the level of secrecy required to pull this off. Production crews had to coordinate schedules and locations to ensure that Kody didn't catch wind of the fact that he was being phased out. There are rumors that Kody believed the cameras at the wedding were just for a standard sister-wives special. He thought he was boycotting the wedding to punish Janelle, but in reality, his absence made the filming of the pilot possible. He played by himself. He thought his absence would ruin the storyline, but his absence became the storyline. By refusing to attend, he gave the network exactly what they needed, which was proof that the show works better without him. Let's dig deeper into the concept of life after polygamy. Based on the leaked descriptions of the trailer, this show is going to focus on rebuilding. We are going to see Janelle navigating her new marriage. We are going to see Christine continuing her journey of happiness. But interestingly, we are also hearing reports that Mary might have a recurring role. Now, I know the fandom is divided on Mary, but think about the narrative arc. The 3 original wives who were brought into this lifestyle by Kody, all leaving him and finding success on their own, is the ultimate revenge. It deconstructs the entire premise that they needed him to get into heaven. It turns out, they just needed to leave him to find paradise on earth. The trailer allegedly featured scenes of the women traveling, starting businesses, and yes, discussing the trauma of the past, but from a place of healing rather than a place of active conflict. The financial implications of this spin-off are massive. Reality TV contracts are usually structured so that the main talent gets the bulk of the budget. In the past, that budget was split 5 ways, with a significant chunk going into the family pot, which Kody controlled. With Kody and Robyn out of the picture, the budget can be reallocated. This means Janelle and Christine are likely looking at a significant pay raise. They are now the headliners. They are talented. This shift in financial power is going to be devastating for Kody, who has historically used money as a way to control the family. We have heard stories for years about him restricting resources or complaining about who pays for what. Now the tables have turned completely. Janelle is signing her own contracts, depositing her own checks, and building her own future. We also have to talk about the kids. The children of the Brown family have grown up on camera, and in recent seasons, we have seen them become more vocal about their displeasure with their father. Reports coming out of the wedding reception suggest that the adult children were heavily featured in the trailer for the new show. This makes perfect sense. The kids have relationships with their mothers that are strong and authentic. They have drifted away from Kody because of his behavior. A show that focuses on the moms and the kids is a show that focuses on the actual family unit that exists today. Kody has spent so much time isolating himself with Robyn and her children that he has effectively written himself out of the wider family narrative. The spin-off is just reflecting the reality that he created. He wanted a monogamous life with Robyn, and now he has it. He just didn't realize that getting what he wanted would cost him his fame and his paycheck. Let's speculate for a moment on how Kody found out. Since he wasn't at the wedding, he likely didn't see the trailer drop in real time. Can you imagine the scene at the McMansion? Sources tell us that texts started flying into Robyn's phone almost immediately after the trailer played. Guests were leaking the info. The internet was exploding. We can only imagine the chaos that ensued in that house. Kody Brown, the man who prides himself on being the head of the household, the man who demands to be respected, finding out via text message that he has been replaced. It is a level of poetic justice that you almost couldn't write in a script. He has spent years telling these women that they would be nothing without him, that they were disloyal, and that they didn't know how to function in the real world. And now the world is cheering for a show that proves him wrong in every single way. There is also a theory circulating that this spin-off was the reason Janelle felt secure enough to move forward with the wedding and the big changes in her life. Financial independence changes everything. Knowing that she has a multi-season contract with TLC that does not involve Kody gives her the security to make bold moves. It gives her the ability to sever those last few financial ties that were binding her to him. And this brings us to the darker side of the story. Because while Janelle is ascending, Kody is spiraling. The loss of the show income is not just a career change for him. It is a financial catastrophe. We know about spending habits. We know about the art of collecting jewelry and expensive vehicles. That lifestyle was sustained by a 5-adult income stream that has dwindled down to 2. And now with the cancellation of the main show and his exclusion from the spin-off, it is dwindling down to 0. The timing of this announcement was calculated. TLC knows what they are doing. By dropping this trailer at the wedding, they ensured that the news would dominate the cycle. They capitalized on the goodwill that fans have for Janelle. It was a marketing masterclass, but it was also a protective move. By announcing the new show immediately, they prevented Kody from trying to spin the narrative. He didn't have time to go on a podcast or give an interview saying he quit. The narrative was set in stone the moment that projector screen came down. He was left behind. The train has left the station, and he is standing on the platform at Coyote Pass, holding a bag of luggages that nobody wants to help him carry. Speaking of Coyote Pass, this is where the story takes a turn from celebrity gossip to serious financial and legal drama. While everyone was celebrating at the wedding reception, a very different scene was playing out back in Flagstaff. You might think that the timing is a coincidence, but in the world of high-stakes foreclosure and legal defaults, there are no coincidences. While the champagne was popping, a process server was making a lonely drive up that dirt road. We are going to get into the gritty details of the foreclosure in just a moment, but you need to understand the context. The Coyote Pass property has been the symbol of Kody's dream for years. It was supposed to be the gathering place. It was supposed to be the legacy, but without the family sticking together, that land is just dirt and debt. And without the show money coming in, that debt has become a mountain that Kody cannot climb. The joy at the wedding highlights the tragedy of Kody's situation. He traded everything for control and ended up with nothing to control. The spin-off, Life After Polygamy, promises to be everything the original show started out as. A look at a family functioning together. But it has evolved. It is no longer about the struggle of polygamy. It is about the triumph of independence. It is about women finding their voices after years of being silenced. And the audience is ready. We are ready to see Janelle decorate a house without having to ask permission. We are ready to see Christine travel without having to beg for time off. We are ready to see the kids thrive without the shadow of their father's disapproval looming over them. This announcement creates a new universe for the fandom. We are no longer hate watching. We are celebration watching. And that shift is going to drive ratings through the roof. The executives know this. They know that we want to see the glow up. They know we want to see the victory lap. And that is exactly what this new series is going to be. It is a victory lap for the women who got away. But for Kody, it is the beginning of the end. He is now facing a reality where he is irrelevant. In the world of reality TV, irrelevance is a fate worse than death. If you aren't on the screen, you don't exist. And for a narcissist like Kody, that is the ultimate punishment. So, as the applause died down at the reception and the guests began to mingle again, the buzz was palpable. Everyone knew they had just witnessed history. They had seen the torch being passed. The Brown family brand is no longer about Kody Brown. It is about the women who survived him. But as Janelle prepared to leave the venue to start her new life, another reality was waiting to crash down on Kody. The trailer was the public humiliation, but the legal notice on the gate was the private devastation. We are about to walk you through exactly what happened when the bank decided they had waited long enough. This wasn't just a missed payment. This was a systematic collapse of the financial house of cards Kody built. Imagine the drive away from the wedding. Janelle is in the passenger seat of a vintage convertible with the wind in her hair, her new husband by her side. She is laughing. She is free. She has the contract for the new show signed, sealed, and delivered. She has the love of her children and the support of the world. Now, cut to the image of a dusty gate in Flagstaff. The sun is setting, casting long shadows over the prairie dog plague soil. A generic sedan pulls up. A person steps out, holding a roll of tape and a document with bold red letters. The juxtaposition is jarring. One empire is rising while the other is being repossessed. This is the story of consequences. This is the story of karma, and we are just getting started. If you are already hooked on this drama and you want to see Kody face the music, I need you to smash that like button. Let's get this video to 5,000 likes to show TLC that we made the right choice. And do not go anywhere, because in the now of this video, we are going to expose the exclusive details of the Coyote Pass foreclosure. We have the numbers, we have the dates, and we have the theories on why the bank chose this specific weekend to make their move. You think the wedding was the biggest event of the weekend? Just wait until you hear about the lock on the gate. Stay tuned because the reckoning is here. While the wedding guests were raising their glasses in celebration, the reality of the situation back in Flagstaff was grim. We have confirmed reports that the document taped to the gate of Coyote Pass was indeed a notice of default. For those of you who aren't fluent in real estate jargon, let me break down exactly what that means. It means the bank is done playing games. It means the grace period is over. It means that Kody Brown and Robyn Brown have failed to make the necessary payments to secure the land that was supposed to be the family legacy. The timing is almost too perfect to be accidental. Banks operate on strict schedules, but the universe seems to operate on poetic justice. Just as Janelle was legally binding herself to a new life, Kody was legally losing his grip on the old one. Sources close to the lender have whispered that this has been coming for months. We all know the financial history here. The land was purchased with a complex structure of loans and balloon payments. For years, the payments were sustained not by Kody's savvy business dealings, but by the collective income of 4 wives. Janelle and Mary were the financial powerhouses, pouring their earnings into the family pot to keep the dream alive. But when Christine left, that was a hit. When Janelle left, the foundation cracked. And when Mary finally walked away, the entire financial structure collapsed. Kody was left holding the bag. But unfortunately for him, the bag was empty. With the show's future in limbo and his exclusion from the new spin-off confirmed, the bank likely viewed him as a high-risk borrower. They saw the writing on the wall before he did. Let's talk about the scene at the gate, because the imagery is striking. Coyote Pass has always been a barren symbol of Kody's procrastination. It is a plot of land filled with prairie dog holes and empty promises. There is no infrastructure there. There is no foundation poured. There is just a water system that has been sitting there gathering dust, much like Kody's plans. The process server taping that notice to the gate wasn't just delivering a legal document. He was delivering a verdict on Kody's leadership. Kody wanted to build one big house where he could sit on a throne and watch his wives orbit around him. Instead, the land is now marked for auction. And here is where the theory gets absolutely delicious. There is a rumor circulating in the real estate community in Flagstaff that there are already interested buyers lining up for the auction, and one of the names being thrown around in the rumor mill would be the ultimate plot twist. Speculation is running rampant that Janelle's new husband, a man who we hear is very successful and financially stable, might be looking to purchase the land. Can you imagine the scene? Kody Brown lost his precious land only to have it bought by the man who replaced him. It would be the ultimate power move. Janelle has always loved that land. She was the only one who truly wanted to live there. She pitched the greenhouses. She pitched the garden. If her new husband buys it for her, it wouldn't just be a gift. It would be a reclamation. She would own the land without the man. She could build her casita. She could plant her garden, and she could look out over the mountains knowing that she won. But let's get back to the reckoning inside the McMansion. While Kody was fuming about the wedding, he was reportedly blindsided by the foreclosure notice. Insiders say he has been in a state of denial about the finances for a long time. He allegedly believed that he could just move money around, or get another loan, or perhaps convince Mary to bail him out one last time. But those lifelines are cut. There is no one left to call. The report states that when Kody saw the notice, he didn't blame his own spending habits. He didn't blame the art collection, or the expensive cars, or the fact that he and Robyn have never lived within their means. No, he blamed the wives who left. He reportedly went on a tirade, claiming that Janelle and Mary had abandoned their debts. In his twisted logic, he believes they are still responsible for paying off a property that they will never live on, and have no legal claim to anymore. He sees their departure not as an escape from abuse, but as a breach of contract. This foreclosure is the physical manifestation of his biggest fear, which is poverty. We have heard him talk about it on the show. He is terrified of being poor. He is terrified of losing his status. And without the land, he is just a guy in a house he can't afford with a wife who doesn't work, and a lot of tender feelings. The symbolism here is heavy. Kody sacrificed his relationships with his children and his first 3 wives to protect his patriarchy and his assets. Now he has no relationships, and he is losing the assets. He wanted everything, and he is ending up with nothing. We have to consider the impact this has on Robyn as well. Robyn came into the family with debt, and she is likely leaving this era with even more. If the land goes to auction and sells for less than what is owed, which is very possible given the market and the lack of development, the bank could come after their other assets. That means the McMansion might be next. The house on the hill where Kody sits and looks down on Flagstaff could be on the chopping block. We are hearing whispers that they are already meeting with bankruptcy attorneys to see how they can protect what little they have left. Imagine the scene of Robyn frantically packing up her precious moments figurines while the bank appraisers walk through the house. It is a harsh reality, but it is the reality they created. Karma has no deadline, and it seems to have arrived right on schedule. The fans have been saying it for years. You cannot treat people the way Kody treated his wives and expect to prosper. There is a spiritual cost, and there is a financial cost. The notice of default is the bill coming due. And while Kody is dealing with the lawyers and the banks, Janelle is dealing with a very different kind of paperwork. Let's shift our focus back to the wedding venue, because while the gate was being locked at Coyote Pass, a door was being opened in Janelle's life. We have arrived at the name change ceremony. This was not a traditional part of the reception, but according to our sources, it was the most emotional moment of the night. Towards the end of the evening, before the couple made their grand exit, there was a quiet moment where Janelle sat down at a table decorated with flowers. A camera crew from the new production moved in close. This was the final act of the backdoor pilot. Janelle picked up a pen, but she didn't just sign the marriage certificate. She reportedly pulled out her phone and opened her social media apps. For years, her identity has been tied to the brand Sister Wives. Her handle in her bio was linked to the Brown family, but in real time, with the cameras rolling and her new husband holding her hand, she made the change. We saw the screenshots circulate almost immediately. The Brown is gone. We are still confirming whether she reverted to her maiden name or took her new husband's name. But the message is the same. She is no longer property of Kody Brown. This is a digital divorce, and in the modern age, that is almost as powerful as the legal one. By scrubbing the name, she is scrubbing the brand. She is telling the world that she is an individual. Think about the impact this has on the Sister Wives legacy. Kody always bragged about his name. He wanted to build a dynasty. He wanted his name to be synonymous with a new kind of biblical family structure. But now the women who made that name famous are dropping it like a hot potato. Christine dropped it. Now Janelle has dropped it. It is a public rejection of everything he stands for. The visual of her changing that name is going to be the climax of the first episode of the new show. It represents the final severance of the tie. You can divorce a man legally, but keeping his name keeps you in his orbit. It keeps you connected to his history. By changing it, Janelle is saying, I am not defined by who I was married to. I am defined by who I am. And the guests at the wedding felt the weight of that moment. Reports say that when she hit save on the profile change, a cheer went up from the bridesmaids. It was a celebration of identity. But the implications go deeper than just a username. This is a branding nightmare for Kody. Kody has always tried to monetize the family name. He sells cameos. He sells gun accessories. And he tries to be a public figure. But his relevance is tied to these women. When they strip his name from their lives, they take the audience with them. Viewers are not searching for Kody Brown's ex-wife anymore. They are searching for Janelle's new name. They are following her new journey. Kody is losing control of the search engine optimization of his own life. He is becoming a footnote in their biographies rather than the author of their stories. We also have to talk about the reaction of the children to this name change. The Brown children, particularly the boys, have had a very public falling out with Kody. Gabriel and Garrison were vocal about the pain their father caused. For them, seeing their mother shed the name of the man who hurt them must be incredibly healing. It is a signal that she is putting them and herself first. She is no longer carrying the banner of a man who doesn't call his kids on their birthdays. She is carrying her own banner. The kids look lighter. In the photos from the wedding, you can see it in their faces. They aren't looking over their shoulders wondering if dad is going to be mad. They are just happy. They are relieved. The Brown name had become a burden, a symbol of obligation and guilt. Seeing their mom release that burden allows them to release it, too. Now, let's look at the exclusive theory regarding the legalities of the name. Insider whispers suggest that Kody might have actually tried to trademark Sister Wives or aspects of the family brand to prevent the wives from using it for profit after leaving. If this is true, and it sounds exactly like something he would do, Janelle's name change is a brilliant strategic maneuver. By disassociating from the Brown name entirely, she bypasses any legal claim he might try to have on her future earnings. She is launching a new brand, Life After Polygamy, under a new name. It is legally bulletproof. Kody can't sue her for making money off his name if she isn't using his name. She outsmarted him again. She played the long game. She waited until the contract was signed, until the ring was on her finger, and then she hit delete. The contrast between these two events, the foreclosure and the name change, is the story of the year. On one side, you have a man losing his land because he refused to change. He refused to grow, and he refused to value his partners. On the other side, you have a woman gaining a new identity because she was brave enough to change, brave enough to leave, and brave enough to love again. One is a contraction, a shrinking of the world. The other is an expansion that is blooming. And you have to wonder what Robyn thinks about all of this. Robyn fought so hard to be the legal wife. She wanted the legal paper. She wanted the name Brown so desperately that she had married divorced Kody so she could take it. She wanted legitimacy. Now, she is the only one left holding it, and it has become a toxic asset. The name Robyn Brown is now associated with the downfall of the family. While Janelle is upgrading her name, Robyn is stuck with a brand that the public despises. She won the prize, but the prize was a booby trap. She is the legal wife of a broke man with a foreclosed property and a canceled show. Meanwhile, the spiritual wives who she looked down on are becoming media moguls with new husbands and fat bank accounts. As the wedding reception wound down and the name change became official, the energy in the room shifted from celebration to anticipation. Everyone knew that the next day the real work would begin. The work of filming the new series, the work of building the new houses, the work of living. But for Kody, the next day brought only silence and the stark reality of that notice on the gate. He is sitting in a house full of boxes, some packed with unsold Sister Wives merch, some packed with Robyn's impulse buys, wondering where it all went wrong. He is screaming into the void, telling anyone who will listen that he was used. But was he used, or was he the user who finally ran out of supply? The narrative he is trying to spin is that he is the victim of a conspiracy. He is telling his few remaining allies that Janelle and Christine plotted this together to humiliate him. He claims the timing of the wedding and the trailer drop was a calculated attack. And honestly, he might be right. But who can blame them? After years of being told they were unlovable, unappealing, and disloyal, they orchestrated a finale that proved they are loved, they are beautiful, and they are loyal to themselves. If that is a conspiracy, then sign me up for the fan club. The patriarch has been dethroned, not by a coup, but by an exodus. He didn't lose his power because someone fought him for it. He lost his power because the people he was ruling simply walked away. They realized that his power only existed because they agreed to it. Once they withdrew their consent, he was just a man with bad hair and a lot of debt. The name change was the final signature on that withdrawal of consent. Janelle was saying, "I do not consent to be a Brown anymore." And as we move into the final act of this video, we need to talk about the fallout. The immediate aftermath of that wedding night was chaotic. We have reports of phone calls being blocked, social media comments being deleted by Robyn, and a frantic attempt by Kody's PR team, if he even has one left, to do damage control. But how do you damage control a foreclosure? How do you damage control a spinoff that you aren't in? You can't. You just have to sit there and watch it happen. We are about to take you into the final chapter of this saga. We are going to discuss Kody's final meltdown, the one that the cameras didn't catch, but the neighbors certainly heard. We are going to talk about the kids and their visible relief. And we are going to break down that final shot of the video, the one of Janelle driving away. It is more than just a car ride, it is a metaphor for the entire series. If you are loving this deep dive into the liberation of Janelle Brown or whatever her new name is, make sure you are subscribed. We are tracking the foreclosure auction daily. We have alerts set up for the court documents. The moment that land hits the auction block, you will be the first to know. And if the rumors are true and Janelle's husband places a bid, we are going to throw a party on this channel. So, hit that notification bell. You do not want to sleep on this. Up next, we are going inside the mind of Kody Brown during his final meltdown. The walls are closing and the bank is calling and his ex-wives are trending on Twitter. It is the perfect storm of narcissist injury. Stay tuned because the tea is piping hot and we are pouring the final cup. We have arrived at the moment of impact. While Janelle was erasing the name Brown from her digital footprint, Kody Brown was reportedly experiencing a meltdown of biblical proportions inside the walls of his Flagstaff fortress. We have spoken to sources who claim to have knowledge of the situation inside the home, and the picture they paint is one of absolute chaos. You have to remember that Kody is a man who thrives on being the director of the movie. He wants to control the narrative. He wants to control the players, and he wants to control the edit. But on this night, he was just a spectator watching his own empire crumble in real time. According to insider reports from neighbors near the property, the lights in the McMansion were blazing until the early hours of the morning. One source who was walking their dog past the property line alleged that they could hear raised voices. Now, We know Kody is loud. We have seen him yell at cameras. We have seen him yell at wives. But this was described as different. This was the sound of a man who realizes he has backed himself into a corner with no exit. The report suggests that Kody was screaming that he had been betrayed, that the network had conspired against him, and that Janelle was, and I quote, mocking his priesthood. Can you imagine the level of delusion required to think that Janelle's happiness is a personal attack on him? But that is the narcissist's dilemma. When their victims stop suffering, they feel attacked. Kody is reportedly blaming everyone but himself. He is blaming the producers for editing him into a villain, even though they just used his own words. He is blaming the fans for being toxic. And most of all, he is blaming Janelle for stealing his thunder. He allegedly told Robyn that Janelle calculated the wedding date specifically to ruin his plans for a property refinance. He truly believes the world revolves around his bank account. But let's look at the contrast, because this is where the editor of the new show and the editor of Life really did a fantastic job. Cut away from the screaming and the tension in the hoarding house on the hill. Cut back to the wedding reception. The difference in energy is jarring. At the reception, there was no yelling. There was no tension. There was no walking on eggshells. We saw footage of the guests dancing. We saw Christine laughing with her head thrown back, a laugh that we haven't seen in years. We saw the kids, the same kids Kody claimed were poisoning the family, hugging Janelle's new husband. This brings us to the children. The relief on the faces of the Brown children was perhaps the most telling part of the entire event. For years, we have watched these kids try to navigate their father's impossible standards. They had to be loyal to him above all else, or risk being cut off. But at this wedding, that weight was gone. They didn't have to choose a side because there was no side left to choose. Kody had removed himself from the equation. We saw Gabriel and Garrison smiling, genuine smiles. We saw the girls huddled together, looking relaxed. Reports state that several of the adult children gave speeches that were noticeably devoid of any mention of Kody. In the past, they might have felt obligated to thank their father or mention the family culture. But that culture is dead. They spoke about their mothers. They spoke about resilience. They spoke about the future. It was a clear signal that the next generation of the Brown family is moving on. They are breaking the cycle. They are not carrying the trauma forward. And for the viewers who have watched these kids grow up, that is the biggest payoff of all. We aren't just watching a divorce. We are watching a generational healing process. The insiders are telling us that Kody is aware of this. He knows he has lost the hearts and minds of his children. And instead of trying to fix it with an apology or humility, he is digging in his heels. He is playing the victim card harder than ever. We are hearing whispers that he is threatening to write a tell-all book to set the record straight. But let's be real. Who is going to buy a book from a man who couldn't even keep the lights on at Coyote Pass? The market for Kody's wisdom has crashed, just like his real estate dreams. Let's talk about Robyn's role in this final meltdown. Sources suggest she is terrified. She bet on the wrong horse. She came into the family thinking she would be the queen bee, the favorite wife, the legal wife. She thought she would have the security and the resources. Now she is realizing that without the other wives, there are no resources. She is stuck in a house filled with unsold inventory and a husband who is spiraling. There are rumors that she was trying to text the other wives during the wedding, trying to extend an olive branch, or perhaps just fishing for information, but the reports say she was left to read. The boundaries are up. The drawbridge is raised. She is on the island she helped create. Now, we have to discuss the final shot of the video. Because if this is the end of the era, it ended with a cinematic masterpiece. The production team for the new spin-off clearly knows what they are doing. As the reception came to a close, the cameras followed Janelle and her new husband out to the parking lot. But they didn't get into a minivan. They didn't get into a sensible sedan. They got into a vintage convertible. Top down, under the starlight. The imagery here is heavy with symbolism. For years, Janelle was the pragmatic one. She drove the trucks. She hauled the trailers. She made the sensible financial decisions while Kody bought sports cars. Seeing her in that convertible was a reclaiming of fun. It was a reclaiming of her youth. She looked like a movie star, not a sister wife. As the engine roared to life, a sound that was noticeably more powerful than Kody's two-seater, she looked at the camera one last time. She didn't say anything. She didn't need to. She just smiled and waved. It was the wave of a woman who had graduated. She is driving away from Flagstaff. She is driving away from the memory of the cul-de-sac. She is driving away from the dirt of Coyote Pass. The shot lingered as the car drove down the road, the taillights fading into the distance. And then, the voiceover kicked in. We are told the voiceover for the final scene was recorded by Janelle herself weeks after the wedding. In a calm, confident voice, she reportedly says, "I spent 30 years trying to fit into a box that was too small for me. I thought the fight was the point. I thought the sacrifice was the honor. But I learned that love isn't about shrinking yourself. It's about meeting someone who gives you the room to grow. I am not Janelle the second wife anymore. I am just Janelle. And my life is just starting." Chills. Absolute chills. That is how you end a story. That is how you start a reputation. It is the perfect ending chapter to the tragedy of the Kody Brown era and the perfect opening chapter for the Life After series. It recognizes the past without being bitter about it. It presents the last 3 decades not as a waste, but as a lesson. She learned what she didn't want so she could find what she did want. But the video didn't fade to black just yet. In true reality TV form, there was a post-credit scene. A teaser for the chaos to come. After Janelle's car disappeared, the screen cut to black and then showed the text. Meanwhile, in Flagstaff, the camera cut to a shaky shot of the Coyote Pass gate. The wind was blowing dust across the notice of default sign. You could hear the sound of a padlock clicking shut. It was a stark warning that while Janelle is driving into the sunset, Kody is locked in the dark. It was the editors throwing one last playful jab at the father. So, where does this leave us? It leaves us with a clear winner and a clear loss. The fans have won because we get a new show that we actually want to watch. Janelle and Christine have won because they have their rights and their dignity. The kids have won because they have their mother's back. And Kody has his pride. He has his rules. And he has a default notice. We need to talk about what this means for the future of the program and for the fandom. Sister Wives, as we know, it is dead. The show about a man handling 4 wives is over because the man failed to balance anything. The new show, Life After Polygamy, is going to be a numbers juggernaut. We are going to see dating. We are going to move. We are going to see business projects. We are going to see what happens when women take the patriarchy and throw it in the trash. And what about Kody? Will he fade into obscurity? Unlikely. Narcissists don't go quietly. We predict that he will try to start his own YouTube channel or perhaps a podcast where he tries to rewrite history. He will try to tell the world that he was the victim of a feminist uprising. He will try to sell his side of the story. But the trouble is, we watched the tapes, we saw the seasons, we have the receipts, he can talk all he wants, but the video doesn't lie. The foreclosure of Coyote Pass is likely going to be the end headline of his public life. It is the period at the end of the line. Once that land is sold, once the auction gavel bangs, there is nothing left to tie him to the story of the Brown family. He becomes just another resident of Flagstaff complaining about the property rates. It is a humble finish for a man who wanted to be a king. I want to hear from you guys in the comments. What do you think was the final straw? Was it the knife in the kidney speech? Was it the isolation during the pandemic? Or was it simply that these women outgrew him? And I want to know your thoughts on the land. Do you think Janelle's new husband should buy it? Would that be the ultimate revenge? Or is it better to just let it go? Let me know if you would watch a show that is just Kody and Robyn complaining in their house. Personally, I think that pilot would get canceled before the first commercial break. We are here for the glow-up, not the blow-up. This story is far from over. As the bank goes forward with the auction, we will be right here tracking every document, every filing, and every bid. We are going to find out who buys that land. If it is Janelle, we are going to party. If it is a stranger, we will still party, because it means Kody lost it. The age of the sister wives is gone. The era of the ex-wives club has come. They are driving antique convertibles, they are signing 6-figure contracts, and they are looking great doing it. The ring that Janelle wears now is not just a sign of her new marriage. It is a sign of her survival. She made it out. Thank you for joining me on this deep dive into the news that changed everything. This script was flipped, and the ending was better than we could have ever dreamed. Karma is real, and sometimes it drives a convertible. If you loved this breakdown and you are Team Janelle all the way, make sure you subscribe to Coco Gossip. We are the only channel that gives you the truth behind the reality TV facade. Hit the like button to send a virtual high five to the queens of the new series. Share this video with your friend who stopped watching 3 seasons ago and tell them you have to come back. The good part is finally starting. We will be back very soon with information on the auction and the first sneak peeks of the new show. Until then, keep your eyes on the road and your name off the default list. This is Coco Gossip signing off. Stay scandalous.